I'm thrilled to welcome a longtime colleague and a friend, Jorge Alcántara. Jorge was instrumental deploying some of the first large-scale transactional chatbots in the world. He's a pioneer in conversational AI, serving clients across Europe, USA, and Latin America. Jorge, welcome to Torras AI podcast.
Thank you, Jordi, and it's a pleasure to be here. It's been a while, and I would love to talk about our experience and where we are today in this
Yeah,
basically moving world of AI.
for the audience listening here, Jorge and I worked together in the company Inventa. So we met in Silicon Valley a while back, some years ago, right? And we had a lot of fun deploying what it used to be called conversational AI, which I believe has changed a lot the recent years. And we're gonna talk about all that with Jorge. It's going to be very interesting. But tell me, now you are or you started Integrate Solutions, and you guys have the motto: "Let humans focus on what matters, automate everything else." Can you share what inspired this vision and how it's shaping the AI products that you are creating?
hmm Yes, it really comes from my experience working in AI for most of my career. I really believe that the truly most important asset that any company has is really human value. No, the vision behind the motto is really that we believe that work should not be just about output, but rather about value. And so we think that we can maximize the value that people actually generate whilst still making their jobs more pleasant by eliminating all of those things that most folks don't want to do in their work, which are menial, repetitive tasks that don't really add much value to their day, neither to the company they're working on. And this vision started to form when working together as well in AI companies and seeing how easy it is really to automate certain tasks, even with technology that at the time wasn't as advanced as what we're working on today. So really the projects and the products that we build are meant to augment human capabilities whilst keeping them in the decision making seat.
Yeah, I like the vision when you say repetitive tasks or boring tasks, right? And I'm a believer. I think that AI is here to free the humankind from all these boring
Shackles
tasks.
of work. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So I love this vision, and I love your motto and your company. Now, if we get a little deeper into the weeds, right? So we have large language models and vector database and RAG, right? The
Mhm.
RAG, and all come together to create highly customized knowledge experts. So what you implement? What are they? Could you let us understand better how Integrity is helping businesses apply these philosophies of automation using these technologies or these techniques?
But really, we work with quite a wide range of businesses, from large enterprise down to tiny startups. And the reality is that even if the symptoms are very different, the underlying problems are very similar. It's about access to information, it's about bottlenecks, and it's about the lack of time to really improve processes. So, what we really help companies do is get an expert on this field to help them design and then implement a solution that would work for their specific challenges. Now, one thing that we do very often, as you pointed out, are these internal experts. Basically, conversational interfaces that are powered by companies' data and behave in a specific way and can use that proprietary data in a private way so that users of the company can use it as an internal assistant. But a couple examples to give a little bit of perspective on the different spectrum that this can take. We've worked with an M&A consulting company that prepares large project definitions for their prospective clients. And so this process of estimating what is an M&A gonna take in terms of documentation, research, due diligence, it was actually quite time consuming. It took from 2 to 3 months to come through all of the documentation and generate the report that is necessary to start with the client. No? So what we built is this assistant that actually has some automation flows as well that can come through existing information from previous projects, use the information from a new client that you've uploaded, and generate a draft of that proposal, taking down, for example, the time that it took to create that proposal of 3 months down to 2 to 3 weeks, as you already have the information linked to sources, prepared in a way that the consultant is easy to has it easy to digest. Similarly, this can help any company, and we've worked with three main different architectures. The one that you highlight is RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, which is basically augmenting the generation of an LLM, of a generative AI, with the retrieval of information coming from somewhere. And there are
Uh-huh.
a bunch of technologies that can power that, no? From vector databases, as you say, to graph, to even queries, to a Salesforce system, or wherever the information is housed. The other two things that we worked a lot on are just wrappers, which are a concatenation of interactions with an LLM with a deterministic flow rather than an open-ended conversation like an internal assistant. And finally, agents, which is a new area that we've been exploring for the last 6 months this year, which is actually automating more complex tasks that require reasoning, that do not have a deterministic path to resolution. This last one is the most complicated to get to production, but we're now working with initial clients to actually automate full tasks on the product development lifecycle even.
Wow. Well, agents, right? Everybody's talking about agents, but not a lot of people actually go and have solutions that work and that put into place and bring value to the customer. So that's amazing knowing that you guys are doing this now and for 6 months already. That's impressive.
The
Now,
process, like
mhm,
the history has changed. Like 6 months ago, it was definitely not ready for production. It's just as time goes, the solutions are evolving quickly. And so there are even providers that facilitate this development quite a lot. So, for example, we're members of the Crew AI Plus beta program. So we can actually use their SaaS platform to create agents. And we've been working together with Agency AI, which is a platform that allows to monitor closely the observability of agents. So these type of solutions are really the castle upon which we build the newer solutions to. So it's not all homegrown, and it's thanks to how fast the space is evolving that we can actually do this for our clients now.
that's amazing. Now, a little bird has told me that you guys are building a new product.
Mhm.
And that's super exciting. That you might be even thinking on an MVP for that product. So would you let us know about that?
Yes, I can definitely talk about the space. There are things that not even I know yet, because one of the key things of what we're trying to do, and this is since we started Integrate, is keeping an eye to the market and really being able to validate any idea against prospective users. So right now, we are deep in these motions. We have an early demo that is coming out today, between today and Sunday, and
Today,
a good number
wow,
of beta users, about 50
nice.
people that we're going to start testing the tool with. But the reality is that we want these users to tell us where to go exactly next. Now, what I really am trying to build is a platform for hybrid workforce management, eventually, where humans can actually collaborate with AI agents seamlessly and manage the collaboration of their team with AI systems. Now, we want to start this from the product perspective. We believe that the majority of work is created by product managers. Product managers are really the ETL of ideas. They extract an idea, transform it into requirements, and loads it into an engineering team. So really, the product manager is the pipeline through which ideas become executable plans. And so we want to inject ourselves in that process and facilitate the life of the product manager as much as possible today. We have seen through interviews that about 50% of their time is spent on low creativity, high need of knowledge work. So 50% of a PM's time is spent planning, tasking, scheduling, writing documentation, and reporting for internal stakeholders. This is a lot of work hours that could otherwise be saved so that they can focus on high value, creative, human centric work, which is really where we want to help on this first stage.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So back to your motto, right? You say, let
Mhm.
humans focus on what matters. Well, what you're going to do now is let product managers focus on what matters and automate everything else, right? It follows the same
Absolutely.
philosophy. That's amazing. That's pretty cool.
Because product managers too, they and you would have experienced the same in startups particularly, but because of either a lack of tools, disjointed teams, and also that when you're a product manager, you don't usually have full authority over a team, but rather you have to allocate time to work on things. So you have a very fine balance of not having authority but having responsibility. And we believe that creating these type of tools can really give them the power to control at a bird's eye view everything that is happening on the product. At some point, I would like to have this platform be the place that you go to manage everything from ideas that are coming from clients all the way to where are my engineering teams working on. And of course, our MVP or initial demo is a smaller version of this, and we're helping particularly with the process of going from idea all the way to an execution plan ready to be executed by engineering.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see you guys developing all that and see the versions. And if I could participate as a beta tester or initial
I'll send it your way. Absolutely.
user of the book, I would love to be there because I know you know
I would love
very
your
well the
experience.
business of product management. So that's amazing. Now back to Integrate.
Mhm.
You guys, is there anything you could share with us on uh, success stories, places, or maybe even surprising times where your customers have seen these benefits of using AI, large language models for their applications?
Mhm. For the surprising facts, well, I have been surprised many times by what clients come to you asking for, no, and the delta between that and what the solution ends up being. It is very common, and you would have seen a lot as well in your consulting time, both before Inventa and now with Torras AI, that it is one of the main things that you need to do as a technology consultant is translate the perceived problem to the real problem, no, and so digging deeper into that, you often start with a crazy idea proposition and you bring it down to something that is feasible and can actually, help the business. In terms of success stories, one that I like a lot is for a communication consulting company that I help develop a system for ESG analysis. So ESG, environment and sustainability goals,
Hmm.
is a big thing, of course, very important for most enterprises in the world. But more so now that because of some changes in regulation, the threshold to have to report on your non-financial information is lower, and like thousands of new companies have to report about it now. So this company helps enterprises actually do their non-financial reporting and their communication in regards to environment and sustainability. So they initially came with a tool that they were asking for something that will create this documentation automatically. No, they wanted something that will just find the knowledge sources and create the 200-page document to be able to submit to the
Hmm.
reporting authorities. Now, the problem with this is it's multiple. One is that data doesn't really exist in a place that is normalized. That the 200 pages document still would need to be reviewed by a human because it's official documentation and you wouldn't want to submit that to an official body. So we started exploring other options around this. And actually, we ended up building two different things that were easier to build and have created a whole new business area for the client. They used to just be doing this one vertical, which is creating the documentation for the client. What we ended up building was an assistant that can actually expand on the queries, normalize information from multiple non financial data, and generate insights for them. And second, a tool that automatically analyzes each non-financial reporting that you share and scores it in all of the possible aspects inside of ESG, or the ODSs, Objective for Development and Sustainability, that the EU have. In any case, what this created is basically a SaaS tool that now the client is selling as a subscription to their clients. They now have a white glove approach when they can give actual hard data on every iteration of the documents that they generate, that has allowed them to open up completely the app market growth. And they went from working with those smaller companies, now that they have a strong reporting and data, to being able to work with bigger companies with a completely new offering that by the time that they came to me, they didn't even know it was possible. It only was made possible through exploring the problem space with them. They had an idea of automation, and we realized that actually augmentation of their value was the way to go to actually be able to extract more from their clients.
Wow. So wait a minute. So they come to you and say, "Hey, we need AI to do something, but we don't know exactly what." So you help them define what it is, what they really needed. They created a product out of it that they are now charging to their customers.
Mhm.
So that's consulting on asteroids. It's like really helping them, multiplying their revenue sources.
Consulting and building. We build the web app for them. No, so this is a tool that they are able to upload the documents, run the analysis, and then share a link with their client so that they can see the result, which makes them look like a very high tech company as well. They now have AI in a lot of their documentation and pitching. And in fact, part of this was also that with this product, we were able to ask for a Neotech. You may be familiar with them, one of those European grants
Mhm.
that they will hear back from in October. But we applied with this program, what has been done, to a big grant. And if that is granted to the client, we will probably turn this MVP into an actual full SaaS product. So that clients can actually like log in, manage their resources, and interact with it even without the consultants' help.
That's amazing. So listen to them, understanding them, and thinking creatively on how all that could become a product. That's an example of things that cannot be automated by AI.
For
You
now,
still
yeah.
need a big brain like yours
And
to
experience.
understand and helping them use AI for now, right?
Yeah, the reality is that it is not an easy field. And so a lot of things that will come to you and I like second nature, just because of having spent so much time in a space where you, for example, have to take into account the stochastic nature of the underlying technology. You already
Uh-huh.
know for what type of things, for example, you have to prepare for, what are the possible errors that you're going to face, what are the guardrails that you need to create, how to evaluate the quality of something that is in the end subjective. All
Yeah,
of these things are different in development over AI than in traditional software development, which is
yeah,
completely deterministic.
totally, totally. So so we have this advantage, right? But you use the word guardrail, right? Which reminds me um everything about risks, right? How businesses manage the potential risks of using large language models.
Mhm.
What is your position there? How are you helping your customers get the maximum of AI without having to or minimizing the risks that might be related
Mhm.
to it?
The risks are quite a broad spectrum too, because when you think about risk, usually you're thinking about, okay, the model is going to do something wrong. But it's not only that, it's also risk that the project that you're doing is not a positive return on investment too. So the risk is quite important to manage from even inception of a project, no? Because we're not only talking about what the LLM could do wrong, but also what the architecture could have wrong in it, what the employees could do wrong once they have access to the tool. And so I think that there are three main pillars in trying to in developing a safe and observable systems. One of them is, of course, building the layers so that you can observe, know what is happening inside of your system. If you have multiple models interacting with each other, multiple systems, that you have a capacity to understand where things have gone wrong whenever they go wrong. Second is guardrails. So whenever you do something that is user facing, particularly consumer user customer facing, you want to have layers that protect against unsavory interactions. These take generic forms, like, of course, moderation. You don't want to say offensive things, but also take a specific form. So, if you are, for example, working on ESG documentation, you need to review what you're outputting to ensure that the reasoning is correct, that the final data that is provided is normalized. And these things are also risks, because if you give wrong information and the employee uses it, there is a downstream risk of whatever that information is going to be used. And finally, of course, on price and practical usability. It's very important for companies, particularly that have not started to use AI much, to start small. Find quick wins for automation. There is a method that I usually call the AHA methodology that we use a lot. That is augment, hybridize, automate. Start with those things that actually are going to help your employees just do a better job. Then incorporate more of those flows as automated processes that your employees will use. And at that point, they will really be hybridizing their work with a machine. And finally, once you've already learned from those interactions enough, once you have enough data to reliably build a bigger system, automate those flows and have your employees evolve to be managers of those intelligences, adding the additional creative value decision making on top of those artificial intelligences. And
Wow.
that is, I think, a good roadmap. Start with small things, keep growing, and particularly do it with your employees, because that is the third pillar that we talked about, employee resistance. It is pretty common, and the only way to fight it is to foster a culture of curiosity where you make your employees feel that they're coming along, growing in their skill sets, and preparing for a high tech world rather than you developing tools to replace them over time.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. So we are talking vision here, right? And I would like to know your opinion and your own visionary thoughts about that. Where do you think all this is going? How do you think AI is going to be in the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 years?
We like making any real prediction, putting any degree of certainty would, of course, be doing a disservice to any listener. But I still do have directional ideas. It's just that things change so fast. And I do believe that we are in the elbow of the exponential curve. And so we humans try to extract patterns from everything we see. And so we always believe that the increase is going to be linear. And when we are in the middle of the curve, it's just for a human very difficult to really predict. But I do believe that we will get to AGI at least on a limited capacity or during the next 10 years, for sure. Not ASI, so not necessarily super intelligence, but just an intelligence that could do a lot of our knowledge work. Now, different barriers will be integration, regulation, applications. And so I think that the real challenge is to try and work for the utopia and get away from the dystopia. I do think that AI has certain dangers that are quite existential. I do think it can help increase the wealth gap, because I think it's a wealth concentration mechanism. He who has the compute has the capacity to give the service. And so, without initial resources to invest in it, it is difficult to extract resources from AI. And similarly, regulation, for example, may stifle the development of smaller companies that could actually compete with the bigger ones. And we're seeing a lot of that in the new language that is proposed in California. The European Act is a little bit more mild, in fact, strangely. But in general, I do think that we are heading in the direction of doing less work. I do feel that human knowledge work will be less necessary as time goes on, and that we will probably move to a model in which we're more thinking about what to do and instructing machines to help us, rather than actually working every day, all day, just pushing keyboards and pushing emails between us. I do think that at some point people will have their agent call the other person's agent and work out a deal. And I do think that we will see some very crazy stuff during the next few years, from AI politicians to companies led by AI CEOs without more than maybe some agencies that are subcontracted to do development work. No, I couldn't make much more precise predictions than that, but I do think that we are living in, as Terry Pratchett used to say, we're living in interesting times, and that is not always a good thing.
We totally are. These times are fascinating and interesting. So you work every day with multiple companies. You help them, as you said, right? You even help them building a new product. So we have an audience here in Torras AI podcast of entrepreneurs and folks starting their own business. So what advice would you give business owners and entrepreneurs looking to start with AI and automation, but they're not sure where to start? What would you tell them?
Hmm. For entrepreneurs, I would definitely say just do it, of course, and don't be a local hoster, which is something that I have been blamed for doing in the past. If you start building, put it out there also. Like start to share it with the community, share with the people that could care about it, and focus on solving an actual problem. For business owners, I would definitely say start to learn the areas that you lack more information on, bring in external resources if you need to, and truly strategize how your business could look like in those 5 to 10 years. Because those businesses that do bury their head in the sand and do not listen to the news or reinvent, they will be left behind. Today, not wanting to use AI is like 50 years ago not wanting to use a computer and preferring to stay with typewriters. You're just getting a handicap for you and your team, and the reality is that you need to use that just like you need to use the internet to find information. Everybody should be proficient in utilizing AI, just like everybody was for Googling. If you cannot interact with these tools, you are not half as capable as somebody that can, even if you're more
Mhm.
senior. So generally, for businesses, is think how you can increase your value. Don't think about where you can automate. Think about how AI can help you actually either open up new lines of businesses, increase the value that you give in the lines of businesses that you already have, and last, think about where it can add optimization. But truly think about where your business is adding value and grow that. If you, for example, try to just automate everything, you end up with a soulless company that just has LLMs sending information to each other. You shouldn't maximize for automation. You should maximize for value. And LLMs are just a very good way to generate value from information, particularly. But don't see it necessarily as a cost saving exclusively. See it as a way to grow what you can do for your clients.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for this vision. And listen, I know you are very busy. I'm very thankful for your time, but I want to be respectful with your time as well. Just a last question is, what would be for our audience the best way to contact you?
Hmm. Well, right now, LinkedIn, it's very open. As I mentioned, I'm deep in research to validate this new product. And if anybody's interested as well on checking out our demo or talking to us, they can reach out to me through LinkedIn. They can see our website at integrate.solutions and get in contact with me also at Jorge at integrate.solutions or .ai. And really always happy to nerd out on AI, talk with entrepreneurs, anybody that is building, or those folks that are curious about how AI could really help them maximize value for their clients.
Absolutely. So for the audience, you hear that Integrity Dot Solutions, an amazing company, an amazing person that can help make your dream come true, at least when it comes to AI. Jorge, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Jordi, for having me. Looking forward to another chat and hope to see you again soon.
Awesome. And for the rest of the audience, stay tuned. We're going to have a very amazing invite in the coming weeks.